Hello and Allahu Akbar, the Baha'i greeting to all the Baha'is and non-Baha'is in the planet. Continuing on the 6 chapters of the spiritual virtues, I explained before there are a lot of words that had to be invented to explain certain virtues that had not been recognized in the past, or these virtues that was not in the past. Man just developed it recently at this dispensation of the Baha'i faith. So we do require to change these things as the time comes. One of these virtues is the sense of family. Sense of family orientation is definitely one of the spiritual virtues that one has to develop. In my opinion, we can say that societies are of two kinds. The one kind is organic, and then the other one which is not organic, inorganic. In organic society, the unit of the society is made out of cell. The cell is called family. Just like the living beings that are made out of cells, and every individual cell is alive, is a live unit, such as trees, plants, ourselves. And the non-living things, like a piece of wood or metal or steel or dirt, is not made out of cells, they're made out of atoms. They don't have a live unit. That is why we're calling them non-living things. Living things are made out of cells. A live organic society is made out of cells called family. The unit of an organic society, a dynamic society, a spiritual society, is made out of cells. The dead societies are not. They're made out of individuals. Predominantly, the Western societies, such as ourselves, they do not recognize family as a necessity. So there's not much done about keeping the family together. In these societies, men and women, they both have to work. They pay a lot of bills for a lot of things that otherwise they cannot afford. Things that really they don't need. They don't need big houses and many cars. But if they want that, then both of them have to work. Then the children are, although born organically by the mom and dad, but really are taken care of by somebody else. This is where the family structure crumbles. These children, when they grow, they don't recognize their mom and dad the way they are being recognized right now in India, in Saudi Arabia, in Iran, in the live society, for that matter in the Italian society, in the Portuguese, in Greek, or even in some other European country like in Ukraine. In these societies, the family values are very strong. Mom and dad, they do take care of their children till they grow up. So there are two cells, there are really two wombs. One is the womb of the mother, where we develop these faculties of hand and eyes and all the physical faculties, by which, then when we are done growing, we came out of the womb in this life. And then there's a second womb, which is the womb of the family. This is a social womb, in which for up to 15, 16 years or more, the children are taken care of by mom and dad. The love of a male and a female to complete their character. This is why the original English people, they could come and build Canada, because they had this family unit very strong. Nowadays, they're gone, replaced by some other things which I'll discuss later on. So, based on this definition that is mine, then we can say a human being would have to have at least two links, two connections, at least two. One to the past, which is his mother and father, and one to the future. What he has taken from mom and dad is giving to their children. This way, the link is not broken. From wherever this investment of the humanity has been done thousands of years ago, they come one hand into another, till reaches now, till reach the English at 18 and 17 and 1600, and they came and built this society. Canada, United States and Australia. But nowadays the link is broken. Children do not take that energy, that spiritual energy, that power from their mom and dad. You see? This is what the problem is. So in order to define a human being, we'll have to have these connections. Of course, there are many of us that we might be orphaned because we had no mom and dad, or we're adults, married, or we're not married, but we have no children. Especially in the Baha'i faith, marriage is not obligations. It's not a compulsory thing to marry. You may not marry. But at the same time, this fact remains that we as people have to have this sense of feeling of full responsibility towards certain children, that we feel they're like ours, or towards elder people that we think they're like our mom and dad, or if they're of same age, they feel like brother and sister. Not just a matter of helping, more than that, a lot more closer connection. And this is not necessarily that we have to come through the same genes. No. There are many thousands of people in one nation especially, that if you study the genetic pattern, that could be just very similar to you. Many people are genetically your brother and sisters. If you marry this type of people, your marriage doesn't last very long, because they didn't come from the same womb, but they're coming from the same gene pattern. So the affinity is too much. They are brother and sisters. So, as I said, although we do not have these, some of us may not be a father, still the feeling is there. We have to have that feeling and develop it and feel it. So, because in reality, what we call mom and dad, I've always talked about it. They're like tunnels. We come through the tunnel of mom and dad, and as we come out, we add another ring to the tunnel, ourselves. We're not made by our mom and dad. They rather carry us. The original matter is not made by mom and dad. In that regard, really God is our Father, and the nature, all of it, is our mother. I've said this before. The entire nature looks like a womb, especially when I go to prairie, I see it. All those stars, they look holes to the other side. And I think when we die out of here, if we have any spiritual entity that can be translated, a good file from the CD in the computer, when you die, the CD comes out, which is your soul. If there's a good file on it, chances are that it stays in the next plane of existence and continues to live. So this is our real mother. We call it Mother Nature. You see? Matter, we say. Matter means mother, like maternal. And as opposed to that, that would be the prime will of God, which is embodied and manifested through the prophets of God. So those two are our real mother and father. Therefore, I would have to say it is very, very important for us that to have this sense that this feeling of that is probably new. This is another sociological evolution, and I should say discovery of the white society, that they have understood adaptations. You know, the children can adopt them. And sometimes the love towards the adopted children are bigger and more even than your original for some reason. In Islam, beside the vow of marriage, the two people, they make a vow to marry, there are actually in the Shiite religion, for sure, that I know, there is the vow towards brotherhood and sisterhood. Two people make a vow to be their brother. I don't know how much it's repeated right now by the Muslims and practiced, but it's not always that we adopt somebody as wife or a spouse. We can also adopt people to be our brother. And we have to learn towards this, that this is just as strong as your marriage. Honesty, complete honesty towards your brother, towards your sister. Not just adopting children, which has been very successful. Mostly the adopted children are doing very well, and mom and dad are taking care of them very well. And society like Canada is very careful in doing so. But we have to go further down and adopt certain people to be our mom and dad. There are many of them in the West. They are all alone in their, elderly homes or old age facilities. They're kept there. Let's make a vow towards them. Go see them. If your mom and dad is, especially if they died, you don't have them, if you're an orphan, there is the opportunity. Go find them. Call them your father or mother. Act responsibly towards them just like you do towards mother and father. So this society in the West, I said this before, is one of the disadvantages of this civilization. That it recognizes only two dimensions of economy and the social values. They don't go deeper into the spiritual need of people. They say that's the responsibility of the religions, and you know what, they're all decayed, they're all dead, there's nothing there that we could point towards it. And the philosophers and scientists, they refuse to take, a spiritual standing. Always a spiritual man has to have certain uniform, certain beards, certain way of talking. It's like clowns. This is the problem, that we haven't come to that understanding that the spiritual needs are very, very important. One of them is this sense of to be connected to a person, a father